Okay, so the global race for AI dominance, it's on. It's happening right now, and it's totally reshaping economies and, well, power itself. But who's actually winning this thing? Is it the country with the deepest pockets, the one with the tightest government control, or maybe it's just about having the most people? You know the answer? It's probably not what you're thinking. And it actually shows us there are three totally different roads to the future of tech. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, let's get a feel for AI's global footprints. Because what you're about to see is that this whole AI revolution, it isn't one big tidal wave hitting everyone at once. Nope. It's more like a bunch of different currents, all moving at their own pace. So this is really the big question, right? Who is winning the global AI race? Is it the one throwing the most cash at it? The one with a bazillion users? Or is it the country with some super detailed government plan? Well, what's fascinating is that each of these paths seems to have its own winner. Okay, let's start with a little reality check, because with all the hype flying around, you'd think everyone is using this stuff. But check this out. Only 16% of the world's working age population is using generative AI every month. Now, that's still a ton of people, don't get me wrong. But what it really tells us is that we are just in the first act of this whole AI story. And this is where the plot really thickens. That 16%, it's not spread out evenly at all, not even close. If you look at the wealthier countries in the global north, you're seeing adoption rates hitting almost 25%. But in the developing global south, it's down around 14%. So see, this isn't just one single global race. It's more like a bunch of different races, all happening at the same time. So, okay, given that context, what does it actually take to lead the pack in AI? Well, it's definitely not about luck. Turns out there's a pretty clear pattern, a kind of blueprint for success that all the top countries seem to be following. And here it is. This is basically the recipe for success. You need five key things. First, you need a government that's actually on the ball, setting the rules and the direction. You absolutely need solid digital infrastructure, the highways for all this data. Then, of course, you need money, serious investment to get things going. You got to have a pipeline of smart people to actually build this stuff. And finally, you need the public to actually trust it and want to use it. You get those five things right, you're in the game. All right, let's go see how this blueprint actually works in the real world. We're going to take a little tour of the AI titans, the countries that are really nailing this and leading the charge. And first up, we've got what I'm calling the government-led vanguard. Think of these as the smaller nations that are punching way above their weight. How? By using a very deliberate top-down strategy to build a whole AI ecosystem, basically from the ground up. Our first stop is the United Arab Emirates. And you have got to see this number. A mind-blowing 64% of their working age population uses AI tools. I mean, that is just miles ahead of anyone else. It's the highest rate on the planet by a long shot. So the big question is, how on earth did they do that? Well, their strategy was anything but accidental. They were incredibly deliberate. Get this. They moved super early, appointing the world's first ever minister for AI all the way back in 2017. And that wasn't just for show. It was a clear signal from the very top that they were all in. That built a ton of public trust and helped them pour money into real-world stuff, like building smart cities and putting government services online. Honestly, it's a masterclass in how to execute a national plan. Now, running a very similar play is Singapore. They're being super strategic, positioning themselves not just as a place that uses AI, but as the go-to trusted AI hub for the whole continent of Asia. And their whole plan is built around this thing called the National AI Strategy 2.0. And if you look closely, you can see it hits all those key pillars we talked about. They've got clear rules to build trust, amazing infrastructure, and they're smartly investing in big areas like fintech and logistics. See, the goal for them isn't just to use AI. It's to be the place where it gets built and rolled out. Okay, now for the main event, the superpowers. We're talking about the USA versus China. Both are absolute giants in AI, but you're about to see they are on completely different roads to the top. When you look at the United States, the whole story really comes down to one absolutely gigantic number, $109 billion. And that's not government money, that's private investment flooding into AI. To put that in perspective, that is more than the next 14 countries combined. So the American model isn't some top-down government plan. No way. It's powered by its massive tech companies, its incredible universities, and just this tidal wave of cash from venture capitalists. And this really sums up the two different philosophies perfectly. The US approach, it's decentralized, almost beautifully chaotic, right? It's a bottom-up explosion of ideas, all fueled by private cash. China's approach is the complete opposite. It's super structured, a top-down national mission guided by the state with crystal clear goals and a fire hose of government money to make it happen. And China isn't shy about their plan. They've stated it outright. They want to be the undisputed world leader in AI by 2030, and they're playing to their strengths to get there. They have a staggering amount of data from their huge population, and the public is really optimistic about AI. This lets them deploy it on a massive scale. And we're not talking about hypotheticals here. I'm talking about things like Baidu's fully driverless robotaxis that are already on the streets in some cities. It's happening now. Okay, so we've seen the private money model and the state-controlled model, but now a third kind of superpower is coming onto the scene, and its biggest weapon isn't cash, and it isn't a government plan. It's something else, something much simpler, pure, massive scale. And this brings us to India's secret weapon. Just listen to this. 145 million people in India use ChatGPT every single month, just ChatGPT. That single user base is bigger than the entire population of Japan or Germany. It's a colossal number that gives India a raw scale advantage that is it's almost impossible for any other country to match. And here's why that scale is so powerful. It creates this amazing flywheel effect. You have this massive adoption, which is helped along by the fact that they have some of the cheapest data on the planet. And all those users naturally start bringing it into the workplace. It's leading to this unbelievable stat. Something like 92% of office workers in India are already using generative AI every single week. 92%. And of course, this isn't just a three-horse race. The top 10 is packed with other really important players, each finding their own special niche. You've got research heavyweights like the UK, home of DeepMind, and Canada, which is just a magnet for the world's best AI talent. Then you've got the industrial champs like South Korea leveraging their power in computer chips, and Germany, which is weaving AI into its legendary manufacturing. And you can't forget the nimble innovators like Israel, which has become the place to be for AI cybersecurity. So we've taken this quick tour around the world. We've seen these different playbooks. What's the big takeaway here? What does all this really mean for the future of the AI race and for the balance of power around the world? If there is one thing to really take away from all this, it's this. Leading in AI does not happen by accident. It's always the result of a deliberate plan. It doesn't matter if it's a government plan or a privately funded one. Having a plan is the one thing that separates the leaders from everyone else. And for those emerging demographic superpowers like India, the next chapter is pretty clear. The big challenge now is figuring out how to turn that mind-boggling number of users into real, sustainable economic growth and building their own local AI systems. And that really leaves us with the big final question, doesn't it? As this technology just keeps getting crazier and growing faster, which of these models is going to come out on top? Is the future going to be won by the careful government planners, by the billionaires with endless cash, or by the raw power of hundreds of millions of people? One thing's for sure, this race is a long way from being over.